You don't need a luxury kitchen to prepare gourmet meals. I wanted a little on the sticky side. With a modest kitchen and some standard equipment, you can cook food that you would be proud to serve. There is my shrimp. All you need is a few helpful kitchen techniques, the ability to follow a recipe, a passion for food, and a fascination with cooking. Just follow along the rib cage. That is so good. My name is Dennis. I really do live in a mobile home, in a trailer park, and this is my kitchen. During this past week, we had some rather warm temperatures here along the south coast in Southern California. High 80s, low 90s, humidity down around 11%. It was because of Santa Ana winds that blow in from the desert into Southern California, and which is unusual for April. I expect that in August and September. But anyways, during this warm weather, I was thinking about ice cream, and the flavor that kept coming to mind was cherry vanilla ice cream, which I used to love as a kid. Now, one of the issues I have with cherry vanilla ice cream is the cherries are those really bright red, almost candied maraschino cherries you see in the jars at the grocery store. And I was wondering, what would it taste like? What would cherry vanilla taste like if I were to use cherries that have more of a natural flavor? And what I thought about was these dried cherries that they sell at the warehouse store. They have a nice flavor to them. They're a little more tart. They don't have that sweet candied flavor, so a little more of a grown-up flavor. So I want to try using these in my ice cream. So let's make cherry vanilla ice cream. These are whole dried cherries. So I'm going to take some time here to chop these up. I'm thinking I want some as halves and some as quarters. Kind of break them up a little bit as far as the sizes in my ice cream. I don't need to get overly fussy with them, but I want different sizes in there. So this is going to take me a while to chop up enough to fill this measuring cup about 3/4 full. And then you'll see what I'm going to do with these next. So I have there about 3/4 of that cup filled with chopped dried cherries. And I want to give you a metric weight equivalent. That's about 3.5 ounces. I have a converter here. 3.5 ounces is 99.22 grams. Figure 100 grams of chopped dried cherries. What I want to do with my chopped cherries is I want to put them on a little tray small enough to fit in my freezer, because what I want to do is I want to chill these down, freeze them in my freezer while I'm making my ice cream. And the reason why is I'm thinking if they're at room temperature, they're going to melt the ice cream when they go into the ice cream. But if they're frozen, they won't melt the ice cream, and my ice cream will stay frozen better. So I'm going to pop these into the freezer. For my ice cream, I want to make something more like a French vanilla ice cream. I'm not going to use vanilla beans, but the French vanilla ice creams that I'm familiar with, they start off with a cooked custard-like ice cream base. There are some pretty simple recipes for making vanilla ice cream. You can just put the eggs and the sugar and the cream and the milk together, put it in an ice cream maker, let it churn. But what I want to work with is this cooked custard ice cream. I think it'll make a creamier, richer ice cream. So I need to assemble a double boiler and start preparing my custard. To assemble a double boiler, I have a slightly larger pan heating on the stove with about a cup of water in it. That's about 235 milliliters of water. I want to bring up to a boil. In the smaller pan, I'm going to put 5 egg yolks. That's from large eggs, and 1 whole large egg. And then this is 1 No, I'm sorry, this is 3/4 of a cup, 150 grams of granulated white sugar. And then I'm going to get this mixed up first. I'm going to use my electric whisk here. Then to this, I'm going to add 1.5 cups, 350 milliliters of half and half. And then the same thing, mix this up. Okay, I mixed that for about a minute, not more than that, I don't think. My big concern was I wanted to make sure to get as much sugar dissolved as possible. This is the beginning of my custard now for my ice cream base. This is ready to go onto the stove in my double boiler. You can see I've got some water boiling in that pan. Just going to rest this down inside. That'll just come into contact with that boiling water. Going to raise my heat up to high here because I want to just bring this water back up to the boil. I'll hear it starting to boil in there, and then I'm going to reduce the heat to low. And I want to stir this. I'm going to use a digital thermometer. I'm going to stir this constantly until this comes up to between 140, 160 degrees. I'm probably going to aim for about 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 71 degrees Celsius. So there I am at 159, 160. Consistently, I'm ready to take this off the heat. Set that water aside. That's the beginning now of my custard for my ice cream. Now to my ice cream base, I'm going to be adding 1 cup, 235 milliliters of heavy cream. That's cold from the refrigerator. The heat earlier was just to make sure that if there was any bacteria in those egg yolks, it would be killed. So that's the heavy cream, and then I have 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. There is my ice cream base. And then what I have here is a bowl of ice water. I'm going to set this in there and stir this, and I'm going to bring this down to, if I can, about 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is what? That's about 16 degrees Celsius. I want to chill this down before I put this into my ice cream maker because it's too warm right now. You could, if you wanted to, at this point, just put plastic over this, put it in the refrigerator, and chill it overnight, and then make your ice cream the following day. So there is my ice cream base now. It's been sitting in ice. The temperature has come way down. You can see that thermometer, it's down to about 53 degrees, 52. Perfect. Now I need to assemble my ice cream maker to make my ice cream. If you're not familiar with these ice cream makers, it has a motorized base, and then there's a canister that you store in the freezer for at least 24 hours. This has actually been in there for several days. And then there's a lid with a separate churning paddle. I always hold mine in place while I put the lid on. There's little tabs where the lid locks into place. And before you pour the ice cream base in there, you need to get the motor running, because if you pour the ice cream base in there now without the motor running, the base can freeze to the side of the canister, and that'll jam it up, and there's nothing you can do but wait until it fully thaws and then start all over again. So I started my machine running now. You can see my canister spinning here. I poured my ice cream base into the top, and I'm going to let this churn now for at least 15 minutes, maybe as long as 20 or 25 minutes. One trick that I do, this is a tea cozy on really warm days. I'll put a tea cozy over the top. That helps to keep it cooler and it seems to churn better if the kitchen is too warm. Okay, this has been churning now for exactly 20 minutes and I'm seeing the ice cream now coming up right up near the top there. I don't know how well you can see that. Working quickly now. I have a container that I use just for ice cream. Turn this off. And I want to get my paddle out and get the ice cream out of this. As you can see, it's soft right now. It's not quite ready to eat. This is just the first step. This always makes a mess. I get some on the counter. But that's because I'm working quickly, because I want to get this into the freezer before it's had a chance to thaw too much. And I want to get this scooped out before the ice cream sticks too much to the side of the bowl. Beautiful. That is looking really nice. That's a nice vanilla ice cream. Close to a French vanilla ice cream. There's just no vanilla bean, scraped vanilla bean in there, which is what a true French vanilla ice cream, how a true French vanilla ice cream is made. You'll remember my cherries. Those are frozen from the freezer. I'm just going to lightly stir those in there. I don't want to mix this up too much. Just going to get those blended in. Get the cover on this, put this in the freezer. And then this needs to freeze now in the freezer for a good 2 to 3 hours. And I can clean up my mess here. My ice cream here has been in my freezer for 3.5 hours. That is looking so nice. Look at that. Cherry vanilla ice cream. A little bit messy there, but that'll be all right. And the last step is to see how good that tastes. I've been thinking about cherry vanilla ice cream for a week. Let's see what this tastes like. Like vanilla ice cream with the cherries in there. Their cherries are a little bit chewy because they're dried cherries. That is delicious ice cream and worth the wait. So excuse me, I am going to go enjoy my cherry vanilla ice cream. For a printable PDF copy of this recipe with step-by-step photographs, visit the White Trash Cooking website and look on the home page or in the recipe archive.